Hey guys, welcome back to Marsha Speaks. This is Marsha. This is literally like, I want to say the fourth time I've tried doing this, and hopefully I will be done this try. So, I will be reviewing Total Divas Season 9, Episode 1. I promise you the light was brighter. I don't know what happened for the weather. But the reason why I decided to wait all the way, I guess, to season 9 is because it's pretty much like a reboot, in my opinion, because they're not called Divas anymore in real life, but the Bella twins aren't in the front anymore, and it's given a whole different vibe with the cast that we have now. The cast we have now is the originals, which is Natty and Trinity, and then we have newbies, like fresh newbies, such as Sonya Deville and I know her name, and Ronda Rousey. And then, a couple returning, which would be Nia Jax and Carmella. Nia Jax was here the last 2 seasons, maybe 3, and then Carmella was here not last season, but the season before. And I think the cast is a little weird mix as to, I see business and logistics wise why they pick certain people, but overall I don't necessarily think it's the best mix together because the cast needs to interact. For instance, I completely 1,000% understand that Ronda Rousey is a big name, which means she draws a lot of people into the show, and she'll bring people to the show that are not necessarily Total Divas fans, which is why I think it's kind of like a reboot and rejuvenation of the show itself. But at the same time, she's not really interacting with the other cast members for the most part, so I don't really see that aspect of it, why they picked her. But again, a big name draws numbers. It trumps the actual, how the cast is going to move and interact to give you a storyline. So there's that. From there, we have, who do we have? We have, it actually starts with Ronda Rousey kind of introducing the other cast members during the show, or as an intro of the show, and how it kind of affects her life, and how she was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, I think, which is pretty sad but awesome story because we all know she's here, and she's they like to put in WWE, the baddest woman in the planet, which I think we have come to establish that she may not necessarily hold that title anymore, but branding wise, it's still what it is. And I just thought that was so weird to me because I understand she's the biggest name you guys have, but at the same time, it didn't make sense because Natty and Trinity was I get her introducing all the other cast members, and really just the new people, which is only her and Sonya, but it didn't make sense to me to have her introduce people who have been here since season 1. That was we already know who these people are. You don't need to insult my intelligence by introducing her. She was part of the OG and she's not. So that part didn't make sense to me. And then you see throughout the show, they didn't really go over that much with her. Her storyline is not fleshed out, but then again, it's episode 1. And it just didn't make sense, mainly because you're not interacting with any of the other females. At least that we've seen outside of confessionals, you don't see her interacting with any of the other females. She just talks about them positively, but she just talks about them, not interacting with them. And then that's Ronda. The only other thing that's part of Ronda Rousey's storyline is the fact that a lot of people at that time, I think it was SummerSlam. Oh God, let it be SummerSlam. I don't want to be corrected, but I think it was SummerSlam that at that time people were insinuating that she was pregnant, and not that she doesn't want to be pregnant. Just at this point in time, she actually loves the WWE and what she does in the company, and she doesn't want to leave yet. She doesn't want to go on maternity leave. Everything is good, and she doesn't want to slow down her career to have a child, which is an understandable thing. And then she talks with her husband, who I forgot his name, and oh God, the police. Why now? But okay, yeah. So they are like they talk. She talks with her husband, and they discuss like how they're not pressured to having children at this moment, and that it is her ovaries and her, vaginal canal, and she can choose to do what she wants to do with it, which is 1,000% correct. Like we the public cannot tell her when she should or shouldn't have children, and I think that that's something that should be discussed between husband and wife. And since her husband isn't that pressed, we should not be that pressed either. I find it weird when people are that into somebody's ovaries anyways. But yeah, and I also think that her husband doesn't really, not necessarily care as much, but he's not that like about it because he already has 2 kids of his own that, are growing, and that need, I guess, has been fulfilled already. So, and not to say that he doesn't want more, but at this moment, at least he has 2. So there's no rush, pretty much, at least for him. So that's Ronda Rousey and her storyline. Next, we have, I'm going to combine Natty and Trinity together because they didn't really have that much on this episode. Natalie is still dealing and grieving with the loss of her father, which is understandable. My condolences to her and her family continuously. So yes, Natty is dealing with that. And who else? Trin is just talking about how back the season before, they were her husband, one of the Usos, John. Yeah, her and John were like at a rocky spot in their marriage, and now they're good, which is great to hear. And that there's really nothing really going on with her in a negative light. I did find it interesting that of the group of girls that she considers like people she goes to in the WWE, it was Carmella and who else? And I think Natty. I think it was somebody else. I just thought it was interesting because I thought she would go to other females, but then again, that just shows you that we don't really know what's going on in the locker rooms. And I was just wondering, like, I thought her husband and her, and is John is what's his brother's name? Oh my gosh, I'm so mad because I'm such a Uso fan. I'm blanking, but yeah, the Usos and her are the ones that ride together. To each show. I'm wondering, is there anybody else that's part of that card game? Because I would assume if we're riding to city together, you guys end up being very, very close. So that was my question. I just want to know who else she is part of her travel team. So yeah, they didn't really talk much about them for the first episode. So we're moving past them. The only people left is Sonya, Carmella, and Naya. So Sonya is a lesbian. She is the first openly I was an openly gay superstar, but she's openly lesbian superstar. And how she knew at a younger age, I think. No, she knew later on in life, like she came out later on in life, and she didn't want to make her being gay as her being a lesbian as her storyline or as her character in the WWE. She wanted to be that big, like, awesome female who you later on learn that is gay, not that like that is part of her character brand, pretty much, which I think is a pretty cool thing. Like, you don't really want no, that's not true. What I mean to say is I would assume you don't want that to be your end all be all, because you're more than your sexuality, right? Like, you being a heterosexual or homosexual female, like, yes, that is a core part of who you are, but that shouldn't be the reason, like, as a brand for yourself, that at least that's what I think she's going for, and I commend her for that. And it also would help basically, I don't think she wanted to be fetishized as the lesbian that happens to be a wrestler instead of the wrestler that happens to be a lesbian, which is true because that's hella disrespectful. She talks about her ex-girlfriend who is who they broke up, but she still thinks it's hot, which makes me think that you're really not over her. And I think somebody said that on social media they are still taking pictures together, so they might have gotten back together in real time. But as of this point, they broke up and they're like doing their separate things. And then really the main bulk and juice of this episode was the issues going on between Nia Jax and Carmella. And, you know, Natty being Natty, stirring the pot a little. But Nia Jax is basically outright said that she does not respect Carmella for this and the work she has done in WWE, which I low-key find ironic, but it seems more like she was hurt that they weren't friends in NXT versus the, like, not really respecting her in WWE. At least that's my opinion. But that you can commend her because it is a good thing that she was able to say in front of her face and behind her back. I respect people who do that. But at the same time, she didn't really give any real, like, good reasons as to why she doesn't like Carmella. Because she said that, because Carmella refuses to take hits, which we have seen on WWE that is not true. When she was doing the feud with Nikki, she got beat up and bruises. I think there are other times during her storyline when she was in is she still on SmackDown? When she's in SmackDown, that she has taken pretty good hits. Like, I think she's a good seller for the moves. So I don't agree with her saying that Carmella is essentially she was basically saying that Carmella is just another pretty face in the roster and we're trying to evolve beyond what a pretty face is. And I completely 1,000% agree with when Carmella said that, like, I've done my work. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional at this. And that I have at least I don't have the reputation of harming people, because we have all seen in social media and with various like people that Nia Jax isn't necessarily known to be the safest wrestler to be with. Don't get me wrong. I understand wrestling, which a lot of people with WWE think it's fake. The results may be set, but how you get to that result isn't, and you can very much get hurt along the way. And it doesn't help when someone is not necessarily the safest wrestler to be around. Sorry, and it's true. But yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with Nia about not respecting Carmella, at least not for the work that she has done. It sounds like more like you were expecting or you were hoping to be friends with her in NXT, and that didn't happen, and now you kind of hold a grudge because now you both have made it to the main roster, and you both have done your own thing. You having more push behind WWE with WWE than she has lately, but that doesn't change the fact that not everybody has to be friends. That's the real world. Not everybody's friends, and that's okay. It's okay to not be friends. But I definitely didn't agree when Carmella went basically from person to person, pretty much, like expressing her grievances instead of saying all of that to Nia. Like, she kind of did, but she was pretty much like bringing her and Nia's issues to a lot of different superstars in the locker room, and I don't agree with that. I think that it's better to talk to a person, and when that person doesn't like change or doesn't want to like discuss the issue and just continue being the same, then you bring another person as like a witness, I guess, to discuss the issue, and from there you go higher up. Like, you don't really, I feel like you don't need to spread like issues between two people to like a crowd of people. That doesn't make sense, and kind of just makes the situation worse, which we have seen with them. Later on, we find out that Nia ends up being in the men's Royal Rumble. That's what it was. It wasn't SummerSlam. It was Royal Rumble. In the men's Royal Rumble, which I think they said, 4 women have done it, but she's the first one that has done women and men's Royal Rumble, which is pretty good. I commend her for that. That's actually pretty awesome. And I think the only other ones I know is her, China, and Maurice. I don't remember who the 4th person is. I'm sorry. But those are 3 people I remember as females being in the men's Royal Rumble for various reasons and times. But yeah, like that was a little. Then she got offended that they didn't stay to see that she was in the men's Royal Rumble. When we go to the next day and they're having dinner, lunch. No, it wasn't dinner, like lunch or brunch or something like that. And and the thing I found a little bit weird is because Carmella and Natty ended up leaving early, I guess, to go to travel to the next city. So they both didn't stay for the Royal Rumble, but she was very fixated on the fact that Carmella didn't stay for the Royal Rumble, which doesn't, again, make sense. Y'all not friends. She doesn't have to stay. And if your traveling arrangements require you to leave, you gotta leave, right? So that didn't make sense to me. And then she goes back to saying how Carmella doesn't know how to take hits, even though she did commend Carmella for hitting her, because during the women's Royal Rumble, they found Carmella, kicked Nia in the face multiple times and hit her pretty well. And Nia also commended her for doing it as well, but then later on still said that she doesn't respect her work, so that didn't make any sense at all. But whatever. I thought they're really making out, because editors and executive producers, when it comes to reality TV shows can really make anything be anything. And it sounds like in this cast so far, Rhonda's gonna be like squeaky clean, like I'm above everybody type of person. Even though she seems very down to earth, it's just that her position in the company, I guess, makes her above the other females. Then you'll have Nia Jax as a bad guy, and then I still have to figure out what the other females like role is on the show. But they're painting Nia as a bad guy pretty well, and I think it's because Nia's own carelessness, as it seems on the outside, is aiding that narrative. But yeah, so she was like respectfully basically saying that I can very much take my own hits. I've done my work. I've done my dues. And she references her feud with Nikki and how she got a black eye because of it, but she rolled with the punches and used that black eye as part of her storyline. So, which is what you do when you're in WWE. And what kind of made me lose a little respect for her, and by her I mean Nia, is when the Bellas and her are meet up for some event. Can't remember what it was, and she was basically telling the Bellas and specific Nikki that Carmella was talking ish about Nikki because Nikki gave her a black eye, and that wasn't the conversation that was had at all, any way, shape, or form. So I don't understand why she was twisting the story to make Nikki and Nikki and Brie feel like somebody was talking bad about them. Because we've seen in season 1, 2, and 3 what happens when they don't like somebody. They usually gun for them. It's kind of bullyish and childish, but they have grown past that. But at the same time, and they're executive producers of the show. They may not be the main cast members anymore, but they still hold a lot of power. So behind the scenes, it doesn't necessarily look good to be talking ish about one person to these two specific females because they hold more power behind the scenes than a regular cast member does. So, and I think the Bellas kind of look like, why are you telling me this type of face versus, oh yeah, really, she said that type of face. So I know it doesn't really make sense, but if you saw it, that's the vibe I got. So I don't get why Nia even went there. And it doesn't show necessarily the reaction when Nia says that Carmella was talking ish about Nikki. And I don't know what her end motive is. If we're painting her as the bad guy, right? Like we do in WWE, because I don't think she was a good face anyways. I think she works best as a heel. But if we're painting her as a heel on this show as well, it would be that she's trying to manipulate them to get Carmella in trouble. But I don't think I'm hoping that's not her character in real life, and that's just the editors and the storyline and role that she's playing on this show as well as WWE. And that's how the show ends, actually. It really wasn't that deep of an episode. Next time, I will take better notes, and I probably will keep breaking it down between people, because I honestly don't see Ronda Rousey having that much interaction with the other females. So it doesn't really make sense to do it shot by shot. I'd rather just put the people who have the least amount of airtime in the front and then focus on the issues or the stuff that's happened at hand. My predictions for next week, because they showed us what's going to happen in the rest of the season, but they didn't really show us what's going to happen next episode. And my only predictions for next episode is I kind of do want to see what Nikki's reaction is, because they both looked, Nikki and Brie looked like, why are you giving me this information when Nia gave that information? So I want to see what happens there. I kind of want to see how Sonia and her girlfriend get back together, since clearly at this point they seem like they are together. I do want to see more of Trinity. She's my favorite superstar on the show. So, and she makes Florida one of the few bright spots of being from Florida. So, kind of want to see more Trinity. I personally think that Trinity can have her own spinoff, which with John. And oh my gosh, it's gonna annoy the heck out of me that I can't remember what his brother's name is. So I think they personally do their own spinoff, but that's never gonna happen because, okay. But yeah, so I want to see more of Trinity every season. That's what I say. I want to see more of Trinity. And Natty was stirring the pot a little, but that's what she does. She's a pot stirrer, and I think she's owned it by now. And you kind of need a pot stirrer for reality TV, so I'm okay with that. Sonia, Natty, Carmella, and Nia. I think they throughout like the end goal of this season, I think would be them both respecting each other and realizing that yes, we don't have to be friends, but we can at least respect each other's work. That's what I'm going with, because I think that if you make the end result that they become friends, I would feel that's more fake than authentic. And that's based on my predictions right now. That's my predictions. I can't think of anything else. Oh, Rhonda. I honestly don't think that she should be on the show. So that's my opinion. Everybody has one, but I don't see how she fits in with the other groups, with other females, and I don't think she meshes that well with the show in general and what it's for. Again, I think she's more of a ratings boost versus being part of the show. So unfortunately, I think they just use her marketing, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good business move. But for the sake of the show, I would need to see her interact more with the females, and I don't see that happening, because in WWE at that time of Royal Rumble, the people she was feuding against, Sasha. Who else was she feuding against? The Bellas, I think, or was that before Sasha? But none of the people I think that she was feuding with are actually on the show, so it doesn't really make sense. And she's not even on WWE right now. I think I just saw her on 911, which I might review that one as well. We'll see. But yeah, I don't see her interacting with the girls, and that's what I kind of like about the show, is that the behind the scenes aspect of are these WWE superstars. So if you're not gonna interact with the females in like a more consistent basis, I kind of don't want to see you. Sorry, I kind of don't want to see you. But that is my opinion. And I hope that you guys will comment below on what you guys think. I'm gonna aim to keep these views lower than 25 minutes. So that will be me signing off. I will see you next episode for a review. It's going to be most likely, when do they put them on? Tuesdays or Wednesdays? Maybe the day after the thing airs, the episodes air, because I forgot what episode, like what day these episodes fall. So I will see you for the next episode. You will find me in like notification in the community tab of my channel. Again, I am Marsha Speaks, and I hope that you guys come back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and really comment, because I want to see what is y'all opinion about the Nia and Carmella storyline. It's completely fake in my opinion, but at the same time, it's very childish, and y'all all grown. Like, we are all grown females right now. By this point, I kind of want to see how y'all navigate being in WWE with a company that doesn't provide health benefits and views y'all as independent contractors, so that they don't really pay y'all. So, or sick days or leave or any of that such factor. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But that's me. And I will see y'all next week. Bye.